You know, it's wonderful to feel so many loving people coming together at this particular time, in this moment. And many of you know each other, so let's greet each other in love psychically. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So we begin by lighting the Christ candle to bring our focus to this singular purpose of realization. I'll show you the candle in a minute. This beautiful candle here, a real flame. And the sound of this ringing cleanses our vibrational field. So it's Easter, a joyous time. Surprises for all the children, lovely baskets full of Easter joys. And we have an Easter joy for any children who would like to hear a bedtime story. It's on a YouTube video right now called Laura. It's actually Laura and the Jewel Thieves. And you can just curl up in bed tonight and listen to this story. I'm reading it on YouTube. You don't need to open your eyes, but here is the cover of the story. You see that? It's a picture of London right around 1300 in what's called the medieval times, and that's the River Thames with the London Bridge going over it. You can see little ships, the little boats in the river, and it's about a little girl who gets stolen by jewel thieves by mistake. So it's a special gift from us, your Unity family, for you to enjoy in honor of Easter. Now, we've been through a series of topics that led us up to this Easter celebration, and we began on Ash Wednesday with a ceremony where we had an angel wash. We walked through a double line of people whispering words of praise and encouragement into our ear. And what we did in that Ash Wednesday service was withdraw energy that we had put into error conditions. And that's what the ash across the forehead is. It's as the lady who wrote the game, Florence Scovel Shinn, said that they returned to the ash heap of their native nothingness. And then we began a series of talks. The first one was, why do we have an ego? You know, and in the beginning of metaphysical teachings in the late 1800s, early 1900s, ego was looked at as something that we cross out in the crucifixion. We cross out the personal ego and rise above to spiritual consciousness. But we started listening to our own teachings to see that the ego is not a bad thing. It is the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the consciousness of separation, but it is our opportunity to raise up that serpent, to raise it up, and to spiritualize it so that it then serves our purpose in this plane of individuated consciousness. And then the second topic was, why do we have a soul? Well, we don't have a soul, we are a soul. And what does that mean? Well, we're not just a body. The soul enters the body through the breath and leaves through the breath, the holy breath. And it is the unseen part of us. I was thinking this week is kind of like an avocado. You know, the avocado meat is around that seed, and that seed is the spirit of us, the spirit that never changes, that's eternal, that's in the absolute. It is the perfect expression of God. But around that kernel is the soul that is the collection, the collected experience of realization. It's God experiencing self through an evolution, through a growth, a journey of realization of ever greater good. So that's our soul, the unseen part of us. And then, why do we have a body? And that was our first live stream. And that was done on Facebook. We're going to try to get that video up to YouTube, because if you don't have a Facebook account, you can't see it. But the signal kept cracking up. So it's not a very good video, but we do address the question about why do we have a body, which is a very personal question. It's an inquiry that only you can answer. And I gave the answer that I have for why I have a body. You have to watch the video to see it. But we have a body because we chose to come into this manifest realm and use our spiritual power for some intention, and the body supports that intention. It's our vehicle through life. Then, why do we experience death? So, in the earth plane, in this realm of consciousness, in this dimension of reality, there are cycles of time. And in that cycle, there is birth and there's death. But you'll notice I'm not asking, why do we die? The question is, why do we experience death? And that is because we are not awake, because we are not conscious. And why do we choose to avoid that? Is because we have to awaken in our hearts. We have to feel everything with our heart. And that's what Christmas is, you know. Christmas is that heart awakening, the beginning of love, the awakening of the Christ love in the heart. That's what's so wonderful about Christmas. It's like Christmas is like the beginning, and then Easter is the culmination, the realization of the full expression of the Christ eternally as divine life. So anyway, why do we experience death? Is because we have not awakened in our heart, and we are not fully consciously showing up present in the moment. If you allow your heart to inform your mind, you will not experience death. So then the next video was why was Jesus betrayed? And that was last week. That was actually my impression of Mary Catherine Gallagher from Saturday Night Live, you know, that because the set fell apart behind me. My notes got a hole in them. I had to get them off of my cell phone. It's really quite hilarious. And I was so committed to delivering the message that it didn't faze me. It just kept going. But why was Jesus betrayed? It was because the collective consciousness of humanity was not up to being able to embrace the Christ. And so the reaction is fear, and the reaction to that fear is violence. And I mentioned the book by Wilhelm Reich, The Murder of Christ, which is a concise analysis of that whole dynamic of why was Jesus betrayed? Because humanity was threatened by the natural living life that Jesus represents. And I really enjoyed saying that to whatever extent that people continue to make choices in self-interest above the collective good, the well-being of the collective. Jesus is being betrayed by Judas. It's the same thing. But we're emerging from that now. We're coming into a new paradigm, a new age, where everyone is illumined in heart and in mind. And this is the second coming of Christ into the minds and hearts of people. And we're in that right now. It's going on. But now we're up to the exciting conclusion. Where did Jesus go? Nowhere. He's here still. That's why this song resonates with us so much. In the garden, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I kind of tried to, mislead you a little bit to talking about all these realms of consciousness and dimensions of reality and planes of manifestation, to, say, well, where did Jesus go? Well, he went into some advanced plane of reality, or no, those are not places that take you away from anywhere. They are non-local. That is non-local. That is a non-local reality. Jesus reconstituted his being with that empty tomb, with the stone rolled away, with him telling Mary, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. He was in the process of reconstituting himself, every level of his being, to a plane where he can appear anywhere, anytime, where he still is healing and loving and leading and guiding and inspiring every heart that opens to him. And I think that's the Easter message. Where did Jesus go? Nowhere. He's here still. But what would a resurrection be for you, for me, for us right now? How about no new coronavirus cases for 14 days? Would that be a resurrection? How about returning to our daily lives with greater resolve to keep our lives simple and on purpose? Would that be a resurrection? What would be a resurrection? How about honoring the integrity of each person's feelings and thoughts, including your own? Would that be a resurrection for you? What would? I charge you to search your soul and discover what would be a resurrection. And by that I mean a reconstituting of any condition so that it's positive, constructive, fair to everyone, and within reach. Let me say that again. Look within your soul for a resurrection, which is a reconstituting of any condition so that it would be constructive, positive, fair to everyone, and within reach. I mean, it doesn't have to be something far-flung. For me, it would be cleaning my room. That would be positive, constructive, fair to everyone, and within reach. And since I've been thinking about these thoughts and collecting material for today, it came to me that a wonderful resurrection for the Unity movement would be to honor Rick Grace for the video that he made called Charles Fillmore, American Mystic. I was watching it recently and I realized that he collected all of the nuances of Unity's beginnings in Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore. The 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 things that connected them to each other and that led them into this discovery of this truth that just caught on. They didn't really put a lot of effort into promoting it, but they expressed it so lovingly and so eloquently and so authentically that people were just drawn. So it would be wonderful to honor Rick posthumously with one of those Fillmore Awards or Light of God Expressing Awards, because really he captured everything we need to know about the history of our movement. And it's not a documentary, that film. It's a meditation. So I recommend that you get one and look at it and appreciate it, because it's quite a blessing. Now, before we go into meditation, I would like to explain our philosophy of meditation, or at least one philosophy of meditation. And that is that when you go into meditation, you're instructing your subconscious mind. You're giving it a directive. You know, the subconscious is like a genie. It does whatever you tell it to. It can't say no. When I was in college, and my mother told me this, and she was a Unity minister, and she was out there and studying Unity when Mr. Fillmore was still living. And she told me, Diane, when you sit down to write your term paper in college, after you've assimilated, after you've read all the information that you want to put into the term paper. Now remember, in those days, all we had was typewriters. You tell your subconscious, all right, I want to sit down to the typewriter and I want to type out a paper that is how many pages long? Say 10 pages long. And I want it to be perfectly organized in a logical form, in a logical outline, with no typographical errors, no punctuation errors, and no spelling errors. And that's what I did. I told my subconscious mind to do that. And then I sat down and I wrote out the paper. And that's what we're doing in our meditation. We're telling our subconscious mind something to do that is absolutely miraculous in a way. So after we take this statement, which I'm going to say in a minute, after we take the idea into meditation and go into the silence, then I'm going to chant an Om to close the time of meditation. And I invite you to chant that Om with me. And then I'm going to play a song, and I hope it's not too loud or too soft. We worked really hard on this, but a song to close our Easter experience with. It's called Oh My Beautiful World. And it's Lavender Diamond, which is my daughter Becky's band. So our statement to go into the silence with is, all my thoughts and feelings celebrate freedom, progress, and joy. All my thoughts and feelings celebrate freedom, progress, and joy. And take that idea into your depths and let it lead you to complete communion in the silence. My boys and my girls, my beautiful world, my beautiful world. Oh, my beautiful dreams, open me at the sea, I love you, 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 my beautiful dreams. Open me at the sea, my beautiful dream, my beautiful dream. Farewell. Blessed be.